Hi everyone, welcome to Saucy Not Bossy. Today I'm really excited. I am nervous. I am going with the flow and I'm just happy for everybody to meet Kelly Weaver. She is a certified law of attraction coach. And today, Kelly, you're going to tell us about you. And I cannot wait to hear more about how you got started reading tarot, how you became a law of attraction coach. So everyone, welcome and hello, Kelly. Kelly.
Aloha. It's so nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. And you live in Hawaii. How could you not just be such a powerful, calm soul? What got you to live in Hawaii? Well, that's a dumb question, but how are you enjoying living in Hawaii?
Yeah. Well, it actually isn't a dumb question because I actually am from Pennsylvania. And in 2014, my family and I moved to Hawaii after many synchronistic steps. I actually wrote a book about it called Living Your Own Aloha: 5 Steps to Manifesting Your Dreams. And in the book, I share the story of how we got here. It was actually from a broken ankle in 2009 when I had my awakening, my spiritual awakening that caused us to actually move here. So, very synchronistic, very serendipitous, of course.
I will check out the book. Very cool. Did you ever think in your life that you would ever live in Hawaii?
No. I mean, growing up, I was actually very poor, and I grew up in the inner city, and I didn't even travel. I we didn't even go to the shore like most people. And so this was like a huge move and a huge dream, and not one that I ever thought would come to fruition. It wasn't even on my radar at all.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so exciting. I used to when I was younger because I have a lot of energy to me. I'm like, what do people do all day? Just sit around and what do they do? And now I'm just like, bring me to paradise because I live on the Central Coast and I live by an ocean. And I'm just like, more people need to be by the ocean. It's just so healing.
It really is. It really, and this was actually, I know that I was brought here to heal. This is where a lot of my healing has taken place, and how I became a certified law of attraction coach and why I started reading tarot. Hawaii is a very, very spiritual place. And it was no accident that now I can see, as things have unfolded, that this is where I was supposed to be to learn to do the healing and to do the work that I'm doing.
Wow. And then what did you do before? Did you like go from finance to law of attraction coach? Yeah. Like, what is your
I'm
story?
I'm an educator for 28 years. So, it was very, also when you're a teacher, you're coaching too, right? So it's a very natural kind of blend. But no, I taught middle school English, and so yeah, it was just and got my job and moved here. Actually, it was my dream job. I was actually the director of, I called it fun. I got to plan all the activities at the school. So, just all aligned with what I was supposed to be doing in my purpose.
That's really great. Wow. I love it. Well, I'm so excited to meet you. And I know people can have bad connotations about tarot reading, and I've only had great experiences from it. So, all the naysayers out there, I really am excited for them to just dip into what you do. But I just feel like a lot of times people aren't leaning into listening to themselves and just taking a moment of pause. I'm sure you could talk more about that. But I just feel like we're a nation of go, go, go all the time. And I like to say that in Europe, the cancer levels are much lower there, even though they're smoking and drinking more, but they're leisurely doing it. They're doing it not just stepping outside in a work break and smoking, right? They're taking time and enjoying themselves and life, and wherever that brings them, it brings them to, less cortisol, I think, in you.
No, I always tell, so I do coaching besides reading tarot, and I always tell my clients that, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And also, what you learn in the law of attraction about when you study the law of attraction is you learn that hustle is actually not what gets it. It's being in flow, it's being in surrender. And you don't have to, we have a lot of antiquated beliefs about you got to work hard and you got to put in 80 hours a week to make all the money, and that actually is just really not true. When you're in flow, when you're in abundance, it just kind of rolls. And so I love that you're trying to teach that. And I do want to say some things about tarot before we do your reading. um Tarot is not a predictive. Many people think, oh, I can go to a tarot reader and they're going to predict everything. You always have free will. So the cards that I pull for you today could be different than a week from now or a few days from now. It's really about I'm capturing right now the energy that you're presenting to me right now today. And I use the tarot as a tool. And that's what I tell my clients. It's a tool. It gives me insight to see what is going on. And again, you always have free will at any point to say, no, that's not my reality. That's not my story. I used to go to a psychic for many years, and he used to say to be forearmed is to be forewarned. And so there's, and also the other thing that we learn when we read, if you learn from a very ethical reader, which I hope everybody that practices tarot is ethical, is that even cards that look bad are not bad. They're just telling us a message and they're giving us a message. And there's always a positive aspect in every card, and there's always a negative aspect in every card, no matter what it looks like. So you can't focus on, oh my gosh, I got this bad card, and that's like, that's it. That's everything, and that's going to happen. That is not necessarily how it works at all.
I love that. That's great. Yeah. No, I'm excited. Yeah, that's not how life works. You have to see the good in every little bit and piece, because I feel like our brains, tell us what they want us to feel. But, at the same time, it could be a very positive thing where, our bodies don't get out of bed without our brains telling us to get out of bed every day. Right. So it really, yeah, you really have to lean in. So I'm ready to lean in. I've been so excited. I know you're so busy. So I've been waiting on this for so long. So
Yes, you
and you know nothing about me, right?
I know nothing, and I don't, people ask that. I don't have time to Google people. I don't, okay? I just don't, and here's the thing, I want you to be very honest. If something does not resonate, please do not feel bad saying. I will say this is not to, like, be like a disclaimer, but sometimes it won't resonate today.
Mm,
There could be something that you're like, "No, no," but you might in a month, a few days, a week, a year, come back to me and go, "Oh my gosh, do you remember you said this?" And I was like, "No, no, no." Well, blah, blah, blah. So again, right, I'm reading honestly what this is the process. So the only thing that I did before we got on this call, and it was right before we get on the call, is I didn't even know what you looked like, okay? So I say your name over and over. And I actually, and this is my process. Every tarot reader is different, but my process is that I touch every one of these cards with your name. And then I tap into my guides, your higher power, angels, God, source spirit, whatever you believe in. And I ask that I set the intention that today I pull the cards of the messages that you need to hear, maybe not necessarily what you want to hear, so that you have clarity and strategy moving forward. Okay. And so that's the way that I do it. Other tarot, they might just shuffle, but for me, it's a very intentional process. And then I ask your guides if there are any messages or any insights that they want to intuitively give me so that I can ask you. So I do want to ask you some questions because your guides did give me some information, but that is the only thing that I do is tap into the name. Now, of course, I have repeat clients, and so a lot of times I know some stories about them as I get to know them. But yeah, you're a blank slate, so it'll be interesting to see what comes up.
oh, it's so
Oh, Shauna, I'm so sorry.
No, no, yeah, you didn't say it, but I just
Okay.
don't people my mom read a love novel and it was SHA, so it's like Shanna, but she gave birth to me, so we pronounce it Shauna. So
I
I just
love.
like I should put that instead of like the her, she, I should put like the
Yeah.
the you for the Shauna. So yeah, but put it out there. I just want to put that out there since we've
Thank you.
meeting.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way that I start off is I like to start with a past, present, future read. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, so we're going to start with past, present, future. Past is anything that happened right before we got onto the call. Depending on the card, though, it can go back as far as childhood information. Present is going to be your present energy, where you're presenting at today at this very moment, okay? Or within the, day, few hours. And then your future card, that's going to also depend upon what the card is, and that could be longer term energy, that could be a few days. It just kind of is what kind of comes up, if that makes sense. Okay. So past, present,
Oh,
and
yeah, emotional, I bet. This
okay. Yeah, and if emotions arise, let them come.
Good, let 'em. Yeah,
Let
this
them
is
come, right?
yeah.
Okay. So we're going to start out with the first pass card, which is the Eight of Swords. Now, sword energy is associated with the element of air, and it tends to stand for our thoughts, communication. Sometimes in reading, it can tell, and I know this is a podcast, so I want to be mindful and, and private. So, but I'm just going to share with you all the things that it could be if,
On public. Don't worry. Yeah,
okay, okay.
go for
So
it.
sometimes for me, it can stand for military references. Sometimes it can stand for abuse of any kind. In this picture, we see this woman and she's got a blindfold over her face and she's got the ropes around her body. But if you notice something, her feet are free. It might be hard to see, but one foot is on land, one foot is on water. So one foot is grounded and one foot, the water is supposed to symbolize intuition. Okay. If you look carefully too, there's a castle in the background, but she if she took off the blindfold, she would be able to see that her feet could move. She would also be able to see that the swords are a makeshift kind of guard, okay? And that if she really wanted to, she could move forward. So this is a card of, and because it's sword energy and has to do with thoughts, this could be in a past situation where you felt mentally paralyzed or trapped, not maybe by an actual external circumstance, but by your own thoughts, doubts, or fears. It could have been a toxic job, a relationship, or just a story that you told yourself over and over again that you didn't have a way out and you weren't able and willing at that point to take away that blindfold and see the situation for actually what it was. It could also be that you may have handed your power over to someone in your childhood. There could be trauma, there could be abuse, and you might have been blind to all the solutions that were at hand for you. And your nervous system could have been in survival mode. So, this is also sometimes a karmic lesson around reclaiming your voice and really learning powerlessness and who you are and how to separate truth from fear. So, does that seem to resonate?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm getting through an abusive father that I'm letting go of after 44 years of my life. So, yes, makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So that's where I see that that past energy. And then in your present energy, we have this Four of Pentacles. Now, Pentacle energy is very different. It's earthbound energy, so it's slower. The sword energy is air, so it's kind of quick. But this is a slower building energy. It tends to deal with career, health, and wealth. And if you look at the pentacles look like gold coins. And what is this man doing? He's holding on very tightly. The only one that's free is kind of above his head. Okay. And there's a feeling of control here. So right now, you might be in a space where because of this, you're trying to regain control and establish some kind of authority. This could be financially, emotionally, even straight energetically. Um, you're trying to protect what you've built, okay? And you might be holding too tightly because of fear of losing it all. There's this need, though, because it is a four card, okay? And four in numerology is very much a number of stability. If you think of a table, it's got four legs, right? So you want this desire for stability, but you also need to, what we talked about earlier, is don't cling too tightly because then you're blocking that flow of abundance, right? So you might be trying to save money out of fear rather than faith that it's going to flow to you. Or you could be closing yourself off emotionally to avoid having to be vulnerable. So right now it feels like you're in this period where you're trying to stabilize, and the lesson here is about trust. Trusting yourself, trusting the universe, trusting the energy that you're going to be okay. And if safety is an issue, explore questions around that. Why don't you feel safe? What needs to shift so that you learn to trust, and things like that. And so based on what you shared with me about your father, those things could be maybe in the background with that. But then you've got this beautiful Wheel of Fortune in your future position. And the Wheel of Fortune is about karmic circles and cycles and destiny and luck, okay, and turning points, which is very interesting because I did want to ask you, one of the questions that came up for me is, Are you in some kind of transitional period right now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because your guides told me that you were in some kind of transition and that it was a good thing and that it was something that you need to lean into, which is why I'm getting now that makes a little sense of maybe why there's some fear coming up because anybody that transitions and changes, usually that crops up. But because you got the Wheel of Fortune in your future energy, there's a momentum. This is a powerful sign that things are going to start to turn. So, what where you felt stuck and stagnant and unable to move forward, this is saying the universe is now on your side and it's coming to orchestrate a whole new kind of level. So there's going to be potentially unexpected opportunities. You might start seeing more synchronicities around you and being like, wow, that's a weird coincidence. And it's funny because I actually just watched a podcast a YouTube on this really awesome thing about synchronicities. And the changes may feel like completely out of your hands, but that's exactly what you need right now, and that's what the universe is trying to help you. So it's really reminds you that nothing is going to stay the same, and change is good, and it's the only thing in life that is inevitable. So keep going with the rhythm, with those kind of rhythms. You're at this really pivotal turning point in your life when this shows up, and it's by these past efforts, it's by these past experience that you're making. So make sure that you're staying open, make sure that you're allowing, and instead of holding up, like, kind of, physically, I want you to, like, open yourself up. So, really you've been this place of fear, entrapment. You're now cautious. You're trying to guard things because you're this kind of really not screwed you up, but made you start to question things. And so you're not stuck. You're actually creating more opportunities. So allow that.
Love it.
So
Yeah.
that's what I have for you so far.
Okay. I'll run with that. I'm so glad this is recorded too. This is great.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I usually always record. That's another thing. You might go to a tarot reader, they won't allow you to take pictures. They won't allow you to record. I never understood that. I don't do that with my clients. My clients always get a recording because I want them to be able, if it, especially if they're like telling me, yeah, I don't know, it's not really resonating right this second. I want them to be able to go back and have it so that they can listen to it and then they can say, oh, yeah, maybe that did happen, or now I understand what that meant.
Love it. Yep.
So then what I usually do with a client is after we go through their past, present, future, kind of talk about it, then if they have any specific questions, we pull some cards and try to get them some clarity on that.
Oh boy. I don't know. I've been in this lawsuit. I've been in with my father, which is insane when you think about him and my mother's going through it and I've got kids and I don't know from what you said I don't know. I guess I have to just be very positive about the future and just let go of things, which I'm trying to do, but I don't know what specific questions to ask. I don't know. There's just so much. I guess
Going on right now.
guide me. Yeah, I guess this is where I'm saying like I'm open to anything because I've been
Got it.
in chaos for 2 years of sorts, you
Do you
know.
have a good relationship with your mother?
Yeah, so my dad left my mother after 43 years of marriage for another woman when she got Alzheimer's, and so
Hmm.
she lives with me.
Okay.
And so it's very sad, but we did, and that's why I started Saucy Not Bossy because she would say I'm a leader and I wasn't bossy as a little girl. So she's really wonderful. But again, like what you're saying is I held on with the first card. I closed my eyes to a lot of not seeing who he was because she enabled him. And then once he broke off and left and our businesses broke up and all of that, it makes sense with the cards. So that's what I'm going.
Ooh, I want to show you how the cards work too. They tell me a story, right? So this is why I asked about your mom, and I was just going to ask you how long they were married. And the reason is this. So I got for your mom like this Queen of Sword energy. And you said she tried to protect you and she tried to keep you from it, right? So this is a queen who rules by directness, right? She didn't because she didn't tell you all the things, but she's coming from a more cerebral place, like logical. Like in her mind, it was logical not to tell you all the stuff.
She didn't
And
even know, I don't think. Maybe she
right.
did. Okay, maybe
Right,
she
and maybe she did, and maybe she didn't, but she did what she thought was correct, right? So she came from a more logical place than maybe the Queen of Cups, who is more nurturing and loving and more intuitive, that kind of energy. And then the reason I was going to ask you how long they were married, because the Two of Cups is one of the soulmate cards. Now, I know that they're divorced, but it feels like karmically that's a long time to be married to someone. So it's very interesting what I can do with the cards. Sometimes I will ask the cards that, like, give me a story of what's happening with this person and what is going on in their life to kind of get some insight and see what could be happening. Oh, now look at this. I wanted to ask about the father and what's going on with that. So I pulled the father card. This is the emperor. And this is a father who is like, very firm, very hold on, I want to ask. It's just funny that that came out. I'm asking like what you need to know um about this lawsuit. Okay. So I think the lawsuit, what this is saying is you got the Three of Wands, and wand energy is associated with the element of fire. It's what lights us up, it's what sparks us. And this man is standing at the precipice here, and he's at the edge, and he's looking at all that's in front of him. Okay. There's nothing blocking him. He can see there's ships down here. The wands have growth on them. So this is a period of expansion for you. So I really do think that the lawsuit will get settled. It will be in your favor, and it's going to propel you forward to be able to really do what you need to do. Yeah. Sorry.
No, no, it's good. It's been a it's this is good. This is very good. Yeah. It's a very good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I see things for you.
Wow. Okay, very cool. And then what happens, like, when with your clients, when do people how do they come back? Do they come back in a month? How does your process work, Kelly?
Yeah. So it really depends on the client. I have some that like to come back monthly, and then I have some that I don't see for quite some time, and then they pop in. Most of my clients come back within a month to 3 months. They like to do a follow up, especially if, depending on what we have talked about, if something happens, it's like, oh my gosh, you're never gonna believe. Here's what happened since our reading, and now they want clarity, or they're seeking clarity on something else, or specifically I do a lot of people that are in career or relationship transitions and wanting to see if there's any, information. Again, it's not predictive, but just some information that kind of helps them to see where they are. So that's usually what I recommend. I recommend about 3 months, but some people, they really like to come back after a month and figure out some things.
Okay. Well, very cool. Yeah, I'll have to and then just one thing to wrap it up. With tarot, what does tarot mean? Like, why would a person wanna go and do tarot as opposed to other forms? Uh,
Well, so tarot is a very specific system, okay? So I'm glad you asked that question. There are 78 cards in the deck. They're suits like playing cards. So you got all but a cups card. Let me see if I can find a cups card to show, just so you can see what one looks like. Okay. So you got to, oh, I forgot to mention this. My gosh. Sorry. I think it's the nerves of knowing this is a podcast. The Wheel of Fortune is a major arcana card, and I forgot to mention why that is so important. Major arcana cards serve two purposes. When I see them in a reading, they usually mean that there's a major shift or change, which kind of also went with when I asked your guides and they told me that you're in this transition phase. Um, or it can mean a karmic lesson that you're learning in this lifetime. Usually it means change. If I work with you, though, quite frequently and I see a similar card come up, then I start saying to you, you know what? I think that's actually a karmic lesson that you're learning. Okay. So let's say, for example, you'd get the Wheel of Fortune on several readings. That's probably a karmic lesson also that's going on. So there's suits. And so there's swords, there's pentacles, there's wands, and there's cups. And cups, we didn't get one of those. They are associated with the element of water. They have to do with our emotions. So they also tell me a lot about my clients and what they're struggling with. Like, if you get a lot of swords, that to me tells me you're struggling with cerebral things, logical things, actually trying to solve a problem. The wand energy is more spiritual, more creative, more your soul's purpose. Cups are about emotions. If I get a lot of emotions, you're really struggling with something. And then again, those major arcana cards are transitions or karmic lessons. So there's a very I don't and this is the other thing about tarot. You can look up cards and you'll see very prescribed kind of descriptions of the cards. And I'm not saying that that's not what it is. Like at the essence of this card, it means control, needing to have control. At this card, it means like partnership and love, okay? Because you look at the numbers, you look at the picture on it. But again, real good tarot readers also rely on their intuition and they look at it as a story rather than as individual cards. At least that's how I read. I like to see the big picture in looking at all of this. And here's the irony. The first card that I pulled for you to show you a cup, and I know I wasn't pulling for you. I mean, I wasn't pulling for you. I was just trying to get a cup card. But isn't it funny that I stumbled upon the Three of Cups, which is about celebrations and happiness? And we had just talked about, and it's another three card, which is about collaboration and cooperation. And I said that, your lawsuit would go in your favor. So I don't think there's any accidents. And I do think that it tells a story. And I think that so that's a good thing. If you are getting a tarot reading, make sure they're using tarot cards. Some readers will infuse, and that's fine. They'll infuse oracle cards. And oracle cards, they come with like a book, then you can read the message in the book, and like this one says rainbow blessings. Blessings are showering your life, Shauna. And then you look up in the book, and that's okay. It's totally fine. It's just that, like you said, know what you're getting. And if it's a tarot reading that you want, I use the traditional cards. However, there are other cards that they're just different artists, but I use the traditional cards. Why? Because that's the deck that spoke to me. There's really no right or wrong, but it is a good question to ask. Am I getting tarot? Am I getting oracle? Am I getting both? None is right or wrong. It just depends on what kind of you want.
Got it. No, that's really a great education. And did you study with somebody or is this self-learned? Oh,
I did. I did. I took a class in person. I took a class online, and one of the things that I loved was my teacher. Both teachers said tap into your intuition. And so what I love about it now is it does really help me tap into energy, hear the story so that I can serve especially my coaching clients, because tarot is one way that I work with people, but I use tarot also in my coaching to be able to intuit where I see people blocked and where so for example, if I was working with you as a coaching client and this card came up, I would be like, okay, Shauna, we really need to work on your mindset. What stories are happening? Where do we need to, do you have money blocks? Do you have relationship blocks? I'd be working with you to figure out what beliefs are holding you back. So again, it's a tool for me. It's one of the tools that I can use also in coaching.
that's great. I love that. Well, yay, Kelly. Thank you. And I'm going to resonate with that. And I hope all does go well. But I feel like when you're a good person, good things come out of it. So it's nice to have, the cards and your intuition and your help, guide me through the months ahead that I have. So now where does everyone find you? Where do people find your book? Tell us, tell us.
Yes. So my website is www.soulvivor, SOULVIVOR 808.com. 808 is the area code for Hawaii. So that's why. And that's my website. That's where you can book private readings. I also do group readings. So if you have like a group of women that want to have a ladies' night out, group of men. I'm not opposed to that. I said I've never had men on a group reading. I do have men that come to me privately, but I do those. I do parties. I've gotten to go to hotels, and I just did a show in Waikiki on Friday. So I have many different things. And then I also have information on my coaching programs there. My book, the best and easiest place to get it is on Amazon. It's Living Your Own Aloha: 5 Steps to Manifesting Your Dreams. In this book, I teach specifically a manifestation process of how I have manifested all the things in my life. And I'm currently working on my second book on synchronicities. So, super excited about that.
Very cool, and I'll put all of that underneath, our video as well. But yeah, Kelly, well, thank you so much, and I'll take you with me, and then we'll connect at a later date. But thank you for teaching all of us about tarot and just being the good one, a good one out there, because I know people have a lot of bad experiences with it. I just feel like it's like that's like with everything, a bad plane ride, a bad Uber ride, or bad
Right.
therapist. But yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. It's really been an honor to read, and I appreciate that you entrusting me reading for you. I know it's a vulnerable and sacred place, and so thank you for taking the chance on me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and, have a great month ahead.
You too.